The Borgas own a huge house on
Advise you on ways to make your money grow. The chances are that expert will tell you that at least a portion of your money should be in the stock market. Dr. Sid Mitra, president of Coordinated Financial Planning of Troy and also professor of finance at Oakland University, presents a rather convincing argument for investing in stocks, especially when compared to other investments that have traditionally been known as the safest.
We go back to the historical record and we find out there's something which is very safe, which is very guaranteed, something like the government bond. If you had invested in government bond because it was guaranteed and safe in 1925, and you had that money invested for all of these years, by the end of 1990, the real value of your dollar, adjusted for inflation, would have been identical to what it was in 1925. Virtually static. You wouldn't have gained anything at all. And there are plenty of studies to demonstrate that. So the next question is, my God, if I should not be investing in government bonds or treasury bills, what should I be investing in? And the answer is stocks. Your money has to grow. $1 invested in 1925 would have been equal to $1,271 in 1990 if you had invested in a stock and simply just left it there. By comparison, that same $1 would be only equal to about $8 in 1990 if you had invested that in treasury bills, and inflation would have been identical. That means you didn't gain anything at all.
The stock market can be a very scary place, but the New York Stock Exchange has been taking steps to make the small individual investor like you feel more at home. In fact, some new rules at the New York Stock Exchange actually help tilt the scales in favor of the small guy. It's the world's largest marketplace. Companies valued at $8 trillion call this home. 47 million Americans directly own stock. 150 million people indirectly hold shares of companies through their pension funds and insurance policies and other investments. The chairman and CEO of the New York Stock Exchange tells me, despite the massive trades made by the large institutions here, efforts are underway to make the small investor feel welcome.
As far as the individual investor is concerned, I hope that they are not locked out of this market. What I hope is that they will have a much more of a long-term investment point of view, and that they will, instead of being caught up in the short-term fluctuations of the market, will take advantage of buying stocks when nobody else wants them and holding them for the long haul. I think that what we've tried to do is to do everything that we can to encourage the individual investor to come into the marketplace and not be scared by the larger funds that are there.
Big institutions can trade thousands of shares at one time through computers. It often makes little people nervous, hearing that their stock suddenly dropped $0.50 a share or so. Enter something new to make sure the little guy can fairly play in the big arena.
It's called the Individual Investor Express Delivery Service, and it is a computerized system which puts, in terms of orders flowing in from all over the world, it places the individual retail small order at the head of the line in the event that there's a queue, so that the large investor is not up there at the front of the line taking advantage of the marketplace to the disadvantage of the small investor. The small investor order goes to the front of the line and is executed in a preferential way over to large institutional orders.
Another policy to keep the market calm on days when there's excessive selling or buying is a trading collar, which halts big computerized or so-called arbitrage trades.
This is a thing called Rule 80A, and what that says is that if the stock market is up 50 points or down 50 points, the index arbitrage activities must cease to go with the market and operate against the market. In other words, operate against the direction of the market. That rule has been enforced now, or put into place, some 14 or 15 times since July, and I believe very strongly that it has dampened down what would have been much greater fluctuations in the market during that period.
One of the most popular ways to invest in the stock market is through mutual funds. A mutual fund will actually give you a safer ride since it invests in many different stocks. Therefore, if one of them goes bust, there are usually others in that fund that will be okay, and so should your total investment.
Take some shares of company A, some shares of company B, and some shares of other companies too, and put them all into one box. Now, if you wrap up all of those shares into one tidy package, and then you offer it up for sale, what you really have is a mutual fund. There are nearly 24 different types of mutual funds around, and some of them are made up of stocks. Some are made up of different kinds of bonds, some with precious metals, and the list goes on and on. Starting a mutual fund is as easy as opening a bank account. You can simply fill out an application, send it in with a check, and you're invested in a mutual fund. You can also go through brokerages and banks, too. Many funds are made up of the same types of investments that are traded here on the stock market floor. So when the market goes up or down, mutual funds generally fluctuate too. Remember, like buying stock, mutual funds often have a fee or a commission attached. It may not appear out in the open, but it's there, whether it's in a management fee or a so-called load, which you pay either when you make the initial investment or when you take money out in the end. More on mutual funds coming up next, including an in-depth look at the mutual fund industry with a fund expert. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Moneywise is brought to you by Flexible Plan Investments, where timing is everything.
Boy, Vern, you sure got a lot of stale old stuff down here. You know what you need? It's a brand new fridge from ABC Warehouse. Vern, ABC Warehouse has got the lowest prices in town on all their name brand electronics and appliances. It's the closest thing to wholesale. And Vern, with a new fridge from ABC Warehouse, you can keep all this stale old stuff nostalgically tart yet playfully demure.
Now at ABC Warehouse, get a $50 instant rebate on this Amana refrigerator with bottom freezer.
Can it happen again? Hopefully not, yet study shows that major stock market declines occur at least every 2 to 4 years. What have you done to protect your investments? Flexible Plan Investments can help. It's been rated the nation's #1 investment advisor providing mutual fund timing. It had all clients 100% out of stocks before 1987's crash, 89's plunge, and the 1990 decline. And Flexible Plan did this while earning double-digit annual returns. For your free report and video, call Flexible Plan Investments, where timing is everything.
Announcing Bloomfield Dodge on Telegraph north of Square Lake Road and Southfield Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Beagle on the south side of the Tel 12 Mall are having an after-Christmas sale. Thursday and Friday, 9 to 9. Saturday, 10 to 4. We're closed Sunday, but open 9 to 9 on Monday. Plus, rebates of up to $2,000 and 90-day delayed payment plans if you qualify, which means you can have the car right now and no payments until spring at Bloomfield Dodge and Southfield Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle.
Kitchens, 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 have we got a kitchen for you? You spend more time in your kitchen than your own living room. Let's make that change. Call now. Tyler, 87100.
TV2 has proven it has the most accurate forecast. Now get it 24 hours a day. Just dial 252-2200, then 2222 toll-free. To get it right, it takes two. It's not another talk show. TV2's Rich Fisher delivers both sides of the hottest issue hitting home. Watch for an all-new show for the new year. Straight Talk with Rich Fisher in January on TV2.
We talked about what your basic mutual fund is during our last segment of this special edition of Moneywise. In a moment, you'll see that there are plenty of types of funds. One of them is used by investors to park their cash until they know exactly where to invest it. It usually provides higher rates of return than a savings account, and it can be tapped at any time just in case you need your money. This mutual fund is called a money market fund, and over the past year, more Americans than ever put their money there, basically because they were unsure about where else to invest.
World events, uncertainty about the economy, and recent fluctuations in the stock and bond markets are the reasons, more than ever before, Americans have been turning to money market mutual funds.
People like the characteristics money market funds offer. They are stable, they offer a high competitive rate of return, and they're easy to get your money back from.
Money funds get their name from the types of short-term securities in their portfolio. Government treasury bills, high-rated commercial paper from large corporations, and large bank CDs or certificates of deposit. Because these are short-term, high-quality instruments, the risk is less than for many other investments.
Money market funds are not federally insured, nor are they entirely risk-free, but they are heavily regulated by federal and state governments. Their managers attempt to maintain a stable net asset value of $1 per share. Net asset value is the price at which the shares are bought or sold. And funds are required by law to buy back their shares on any given business day.
Money funds have the same benefits as other types of mutual funds, such as diversification, which reduces risk through investing in a variety of securities, professional management and services like check writing. Investors rely on funds as a highly liquid investment vehicle or as a parking place for money between financial transactions or other investments. By buying shares in a money fund, small investors can get the same higher yield as major corporations and institutions.
Joining me now to talk about mutual funds and money market funds specifically is Eric Cantor of the Investment Company Institute in Washington, which is the National Trade Association for Mutual Funds. Eric, thanks for joining us here in Detroit.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here.
How many mutual funds are there? A lot of people often get mixed up when they look at mutual funds as a possible investment.
Right. Well, there are currently over 3,200 mutual funds, and that includes stock funds, bond funds, and money market funds. And that's up from about 600 in 1980, so we've had a tremendous increase in the number of funds.
Why is it up? Has the demand been there, or is the industry trying to lead us along, so to speak?
I think it's a combination, perhaps, of different factors, including some of those. The types of funds available have changed rather interestingly. We currently have a lot of bond funds, and 10 years ago there were very few bond funds. There are a lot more money market funds than there used to be. And also in the stock fund area, they used to be fairly plain vanilla. Now you have a lot of different kinds of specialized stock funds, index funds, international stock funds. So there's a lot more variety available now than there used to be.
As we've talked before, you can have a mutual fund to meet almost any investment objective. If you want it balanced, you can have a balanced fund where somebody manages that for you with certain percentages that will not change.
That's right.
You can have many companies, bonds, treasuries. How safe are they, though?
Well, mutual funds are, in a certain sense, very safe in that they don't go broke, for instance. They don't have problems like some other financial institutions. But on the other hand, they consist of securities that are in those portfolios. So there are risk factors that are related to the market risk of whatever's in the portfolio. So a stock fund is definitely going to go up and down. But there are a lot of very tight rules that the SEC enforces at the national level, and also state securities regulators, that make sure that the people who manage the funds can't get to the assets themselves. The assets of a fund have to be kept by a separate custodian, which is usually a large bank that specializes in this. There are a lot of other rules that apply to how a fund has to be operated, so it's closely watched by the federal government. There are a lot of rules that apply, so it is a very safe kind of product in that sense, but you have to be aware of the risk of the security that's involved in whatever kind of fund you're in.
Now, when we talk about money market funds, there is a little bit more risk there, perhaps because a lot of people think that it's like a savings account. It's guaranteed money, but your money is not guaranteed, is it?
That's right. It is not guaranteed or insured. A money market mutual fund is managed. It's a pool of securities just like another mutual fund, and it's managed to maintain a constant share value, which is generally $1 a share, which means that you have essentially very little risk to the principal. They have maintained in just about every case throughout the whole history of money funds this constant share value, but it's not guaranteed. It's based on the fact that they have to invest in short-term commercial paper, which is going to only exist for a few months, so there's little chance that something will go wrong with the issuer in such a short period of time. It has to comply with a lot of other rules, but it is a portfolio of securities. It is not the same thing as an insured account at a bank.
Still, nobody has ever lost money in a money market fund, correct? They have never lost principal.
That's true. Since the early days, anyway, in the early days there were some that were managed a little bit differently that might have had a slight fluctuation, but in recent years there has been no loss whatsoever in a money market fund. But the fact is that it is not truly the same as being insured, even though there's been a virtually perfect record.
Okay. A couple of themes pop up in the letters that our Moneywise viewers write us. One of them is about the fees and the loads. A lot of people think if it's no load, that means they're not paying anything. There's no free lunch here, is there?
That's absolutely right. However, the fees are very low. Any mutual fund has a management fee. It costs money to operate the fund. There's office rent, there are employees to be paid, and the managers who manage that portfolio get paid for their services. Industry-wide, the average tends to be about 1% per year of the total assets. So that's a very small amount of money, but that comes out of the fund before you get any of the distributions, any of the earnings of the fund. And it doesn't matter whether you paid a commission or not to buy the fund, the management fee is going to be essentially the same.
Eric Cantor from the Investment Company Institute in Washington, thank you for joining us today on Moneywise.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with much more on this edition of Moneywise in just a moment, so stay right where you are.
Monty Korn talks to people with a track record for making money. Get the latest in financial tips and investment advice. Tune in every weekday morning at 11:30 on WEXL, 1340 on your AM dial.
Quality, value, and style have been great reasons to experience Buick. Now, here's another. A chance to win a 1992 Buick Skylark Grand Sport. Through January 15th, test drive a Skylark at your Metro Detroit Buick dealer. You'll be eligible to win the hot new Grand Sport Coupe. The little Wildcat loaded with anti-lock brakes, air conditioning, cruise, power windows and locks, and much more. See John Rogan, Jim Farsard, Krajenki, and Ann Arbor Buick, and you could drive away a winner.
Information at the touch of a button. Touch 4 from Ameritech Pages Plus. If you have the North Oakland, North Woodward, East Detroit, West Northwest, or Downriver book, you'll find Touch 4 right in the front. Beginning on page 12 of your Ameritech Pages Plus, you'll find the Touch 4 guide pages, including the health, legal, and homeowner's guide information on hundreds of topics you can access with the touch of a button. Simply call the free local number and press the 4-digit code. It's fast, it's free. It's information at the touch of a button from Ameritech Pages Plus. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds. The opportunities are endless, but choosing any investment at the wrong time can be devastating. Flexible Plan Investments, one of the nation's premier investment advisors, would like to send you a complimentary report entitled Where Timing is Everything. Discover how investors using Flexible Plan's stock and bond market timing have obtained higher returns with less risk. This report, available on video cassette, is yours absolutely free for calling Flexible Plan Investments, where timing is everything.
Cher, Ron Howard, Billy D. Williams, Lassie's John Provost, Natalie Wood, and Diane Carroll. Meet the women who started them on the road to stardom. Their moms.
I wish he'd hire me more often. Billy started at the age of 7. He got the job because he didn't cry. She doesn't want me to have a tattoo, though, thank God.
Get the childhood secrets of your favorite stars. Celebrity Moms from San Francisco, next, Geraldo.
Monday at 5 on TV2.
Welcome back to Moneywise. There are some people who contend the pocket change that you leave on your dresser at night could be worth $100,000 or more if you put that money toward your mortgage payment. Some say if you do that, you may be able to retire early and live happily ever after, according to the man who wrote this book, Mark Eisenson. The book is called Banker's Secret.
When you talk about prepaying your mortgage, people assume they have to load up a wheelbarrow with money and head to the bank. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using pocket change, as little as 50 cents or 80 cents a day, to invest in your mortgage, pay it off earlier than you would otherwise, and save a good deal of money. 80 cents a day, $25 a month, will save the typical homeowner $34,000 or more and reduce the term of their loan by 5 years.
I want to ask you how you go about doing that, but first let's talk about another figure that comes from the book. You give an example that on a $75,000 30-year mortgage written at 10% interest, the total payback will be almost
$237,000. You pay back generally more than 3 times what you borrowed, twice as much for interest as the amount you borrowed, which means that you buy one house and get to live in one house, but you pay for 3. 1 house for you, 2 for your banker.
You did this when you were 27 years old.
In fact, when I was 22, I bought my first house, and my wife and I made a conscious effort to prepay our mortgage. We would make the next month's principal payment or the next few months principal payments as we could, and we ended up paying that house off by the time I was 27. So by the time I was 27, I was out of debt. And there are two ways to financial independence in this country. One is great wealth, which is the route that most of us try to follow, and the other is just having a few dollars more than you're required to spend. It's really freeing yourself from debt, managing your debt such that you're not in its hold forever. That's the route I chose. And most people can get there, not necessarily quickly, but they can get there.
Now, did that enable you to quit your job and go into retirement?
It in fact did. In fact, I semi-retired when I was 30. I had been a professional engineer and an electrical contractor. I had done fairly well, but not well enough to, retire with a high lifestyle. I chose to simplify my life, take life easy, and do other things, including sharing what I think is some fabulous consumer information through my writing.
Okay, now how do we do that? Do we just write them an extra check every month?
Basically, all you have to do is write a larger check. If your normal payment is $650, for example, and you can afford to send in another $25, send in a check for $675. And you should enclose a note with your check saying, I would like this extra $25. In fact, it's not even an extra $25. It's an advance $25. You'd have to pay the $25 sooner or later. So I would like this $25 applied to the principal balance of my loan, and you automatically are cutting the term of your loan and automatically increasing the amount of equity you have in your house and decreasing the total interest you're going to pay.
What about the tax deduction? A lot of people look at their mortgage and say it's the only sacred cow left after Congress got finished with tax reform.
Well, it's a mythical sacred cow. The myth is that if I prepay my mortgage, if I start paying my mortgage off faster, I'm going to lose this fabulous tax deduction. The reality is, on a typical $75,000 mortgage, if you were to prepay $25 a month for the first year, you'd buy yourself $5,000 in savings, and you'd pay $3.95 in additional taxes. Now, I think $3.95 is a small price to pay to save $5,000, but Americans, in fact, typically, unknowingly, have gone to the other extreme, where they'll squander $5,000 in interest in order to save $3.95 in taxes. You're always better off by not spending the money.
Do you have a mortgage now?
No, I don't.
You live in the same home?
No, I don't. I live in a different home, but I have no mortgage, I have no debts, and I like it there. I make sure when I use my credit card, I pay the balance off. But for people who can't do that or don't do that, here's a tremendous investment tip. If you have a balance on your credit card, a balance that's costing you maybe 20% interest, if you put an extra $10 or $20 or $100 towards that balance, all of a sudden you're earning 20% interest risk-free. I don't know of any place else other than in our debt that we can make that kind of investment.
And that brings us right back to mortgages, because if you have an 11% mortgage or a 12% mortgage or a 13% mortgage, that is what your money is making as you pay it off.
Exactly correct, Murray. Exactly what's happening is if you put $25 into your mortgage and you have a 13% mortgage, you're earning yourself 13% risk-free and, in fact, tax-deferred.
Okay.
On that pocket change.
You have plenty of tables inside the book, and I'll just mention it again. It's called Banker's Secret by Mark Eisenson. Your mortgage can save you a fortune. All you need to know is the banker's secret, something that he says saved him a fortune. Mark, thank you for joining us today on Moneywise.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of our program in just a moment. Stay tuned.
This is it, the one you've been waiting all year for. It's Waterbed Gallery's humongous year-end clearance sale. Hurry in and save as much as 60% at Waterbed Gallery.
Can it happen again? Hopefully not, yet study shows that major stock market declines occur at least every 2 to 4 years. What have you done to protect your investments? Flexible Plan Investments can help. It's been rated the nation's #1 investment advisor, providing mutual fund timing. It had all clients 100% out of stocks before 1987's crash, 89's plunge, and the 1990 decline. And Flexible Plan did this while earning double-digit annual returns. For your free report and video, call Flexible Plan Investments, where timing is everything.
Announcing Bloomfield Dodge on Telegraph north of Square Lake Road and Southfield Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle on the south side of the Tel 12 Mall are having an after-Christmas sale. Thursday and Friday, 9 to 9. Saturday, 10 to 4. Closed Sunday, but open 9 to 9 on Monday. Plus, rebates of up to $2,000 and 90-day delayed payment plans if you qualify, which means you can have the car right now and no payments until spring at Bloomfield Dodge and Southfield Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle, your Chrysler connection.
He had a chilling plan to murder his parents. Now his only plan is to get out of jail. Even his parents want him free.
I will be there for him when he comes up.
And a current affair exclusive, We Forgive.
Sizzling stories. 7:30 Monday on TV2.
Before we leave you today, a thought about retirement. If you're anticipating that Social Security will see you through, perhaps you should think again. Social Security will only provide 25 to 30% of what you'll need in retirement. The rest will have to come from your investments. How much will you need? Generally 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income if you want to live in your current style. The earlier you start, the better chance you have of making it today. Statistics, though, show that only 2 out of every 100 people in America are adequately prepared for retirement when they reach that age. Good luck. And thanks for joining us today on this special edition of Moneywise. I'm Murray Feldman.
Moneywise has been brought to you by Flexible Plan Investments, where timing is everything. For a transcript of today's program, please send a $5 check or a money order to Moneywise Transcripts for the Record, Post Office Box 44798, Detroit, Michigan 48244. Please include the name and date of the program. Allow 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. With all investments, past performance is no guarantee of future success. Moneywise does not recommend any investment. We seek to present ideas designed to stimulate thought.